Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is possibilism. It's actually a thing, but I don't know if our definition of it is going to match the traditional definition. Anyway, we'll get to explore how through the art of the possible we get to invite miracles. And before we get started, let's just take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding into your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating and electrifying and energizing all your cells, all your electrons, all your molecules. And as you exhale any tension, any remaining stress or fatigue, negativity. And now let's just gently press our palms together and softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel how delicious that sensation is and to bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to be here with you this Friday on a week to remember, at least for me. We had the adventure of Maggie's disappearance on last Sunday and her recovery on Wednesday, and just been in the space of miracles ever since. So last night on the Sustainability Now movie night, we aired an interview that we did with an architect who does regenerative architecture, a man named Michael Pollan, who is from the UK and is very engaged in developing architectural designs from nature, based on the wisdom of nature and solutions provided by nature, using biomimicry and something called biophilia, which is really creating an integration of nature into our built environments. So one of the things that he talked about was moving from optimism or pessimism to possibilism. And I loved the word, and I thought it would be a wonderful thing for us to talk about today, because the art of the possible is largely residing in our imaginations, in our ability to conceive of possibilities. And from that conception, we manifest reality. All of our material experience emerged from first having an idea. And when we engage our imaginations and our capacity to think beyond the existing paradigms, to think outside the box, we create new possibilities. You know, certainly the notion of space travel and traveling to the moon, it originated with an idea. And so I'm wondering how we can each initiate our own travel to the moon with the art of the possible, with this possibilism, where we look at not the boundedness of what's possible based on our existing paradigms and limitations, but where we expand our notion of what's possible to incorporate our vast creativity. And I see that applying even in the case of Maggie, you know, to imagine that she could come home, you know, that there would be a way to have her come home, which is I don't know about you, but I consider that pretty miraculous. And yet there were so many people who had their attention and intention on that, that I believe we brought that collectively, we brought that into that possibility into material reality. And so what does it look like to be living in the art or living in the realm of the possible? You know, what does it look like to convert a dream to the possible? Good morning, Grace Isis. Thank you so much for being here. And I have gratitude for you in this day as well. Yes, yes, possibilities. So let's explore, what is this realm of the possible? What's available to us when we unleash our minds, our hearts, our imaginations, and dream a new world into being. So I've spoken the other day about the name of a course that I took, which I thought was just so brilliant. The course was brilliant too, but the name of it was really quite awesome, which is Leading from the Emerging Future. And there's a lot of talk. I find it really hopeful and promising to be talking about the future that is being called into being, you know, or the future that is calling us forth. And in these times of so much polarity and polarization politically, ideologically, I'm also noticing a polarization, or a polarity rather. I'm not going to say polarization, but a polarity of light and dark, kind of. It seems that there's a lot of, we hear a lot about kind of dark issues rising. And the thing is that it, in this community and among so many people throughout the world, I believe there's also a rising awareness of and presence to the light. And light is all we need to dispel the darkness, right? So as we reside in this realm of the possible, what we put our attention on is where our energy goes. And so if we put our attention on creating positive outcomes, imagining the highest possible expression of something, imagining a world that that is connected to nature, that is in harmony with nature and our planet. If we imagine positive outcomes for our engagements and involvements in the world, and use the power of our attention and intention to create this new world, I believe we can do it. And I believe that the darkness that we're seeing is the last throes of an outmoded system. And we get to choose to not succumb to the negativity of it. We get to choose to be awake and aware and present and living deliberately in possibility. So what does that look like for you? You know, maybe it might look like a new path in life and a new sense of purpose and meaning. Maybe it means new employment or new relationships or new social circles or new patterns and behaviors. And the art of the possible is really recognizing that we have so much more power than we imagine, that we have so much, that we are really, truly, truly creators of our lives and our experience. And as we step further and further into that recognition, we have truly unbounded capability to make miracles, happen, and to live magnificent lives. And we get to do this more and more collectively. I know that we've been speaking about an article I had read about a study that was done to be indicating that rather than reality existing independently of us and us existing inside reality, that reality instead may be formed by a network of observers. And good morning, Julie. So good to have you here. We're talking about possibilism and living, rather than being in optimism or pessimism, living in the notion of expanded possibility. And that's my definition. If you look up possibilism, it is actually a word, but I'm not sure that I'm adopting that definition, because I think it might be bounded by what people believe is, what the limits are. And I see so much more possibility beyond the limits of our conventional thinking. And so we've talked a bit about consensus reality. And thank you, Julie. Yes, it's exciting, right? To be moving into the possible, to recognize consensus reality, to recognize the things that we tacitly and most often unconsciously agree about or accept as reality without questioning the possibilities beyond that. So one of the things that I notice in our culture is that we are kind of conditioned to a resigned acceptance of the status quo, believing that we don't have the capacity to make change as individuals, that as individuals we don't have the influence to be able to shift things. And the message that we need to, I believe that we need to embed deeply in our hearts, is that each of us makes a difference and can have a profound impact on the world at large. And I've seen miracles happen. I'm sure you have too. And that the thing is that I say all the time, we're meaning-making machines, but I also believe that we're miracle-making machines. And or I don't know if machine is the greatest word there. We're miracle-making. I don't know, but we do have the capacity regularly to be making miracles. And that's part of this possibilism in my context anyway, that we can generate miraculous outcomes in the world and in our own lives. And the thing that Joe Dispenza says over and over and over again, and I am seeing it in action, is where your thought goes, where you put your attention is where your energy goes. And our energy is actually boundless in its capacity to manifest circumstance and reality. And and whatever. And so, we may not understand why we manifest these things. Like, I don't understand why I might have manifested Maggie disappearing on my birthday, and all the ensuing upset that I had in reaction to that. And she came home, or I got her home, and that made that birthday a miracle. So the lesson for me is to maybe be able, hopefully, to find my way to be more aligned with the way that life is unfolding, to be more trusting that it's all happening perfectly for me and through me. And the possibilism is to be stepping beyond our fears, stepping beyond our fears, which are really, I think it is true that our fears are largely the source of our limitation. Not all of our limitations are fear-based, but I think that some of our limitations we just accept because we haven't thought about it. We haven't even recognized it as a boundary to the possible. So possibilism is maybe about challenging our assumptions. So thank you, Julie. Thank you. So we get to challenge our assumptions. And the thing is, the insidious piece of assumptions is we don't even recognize them because they're assumed, right? So I know you've probably heard of what is when we assume, it's making an ass of you and me, if you spell it ASSUME. And so many of our assumptions just constrain us and limit our life force. And so maybe the question we can be with going into this weekend is, what's possible? What's possible in this situation? What's possible? And to entertain that, and all the crazy ideas, quote unquote, those are big air quotes around crazy ideas that might arise for us in answer to that question of what's possible. So I think that we have, we really do have unbounded potential that is largely untapped. And we've all seen moments where these miracles happen, or we're in the flow and things are clicking and everything is just magically fall possible. We can be invoking those kinds of opportunities, where things just flow, where life flows, where we're in alignment, where we're not experiencing resistance, where we're reveling in the unfoldment of life, and also actively co-creating, actively consciously co-creating by focusing our energy, by putting our attention on what we desire rather than what we don't want, and putting our attention on the joy of the experience of having the things and the opportunities that we dream of. So part of this dreaming the world into being is really reveling in and luxuriating in the joy of the manifestation that we're envisioning, and how delighted we are to be receiving that. And if we allow ourselves the delight in this moment of that receiving, there's a magnetic attraction that we create that draws that experience to us. And so it's the enthusiasm and the emotion and the joy and the love and the gratitude that becomes the magnetic attractive force that brings all those wonderful imaginings and possibilities to us. So what are you dreaming of that's possible? What are you now moving into the realm of possibility for yourself? What are you drawing to you? What are you calling forth in your life? And in a conscious and deliberate way, out of possibility rather than resignation. I think, there are times when we might fall into resignation to believing that reality is immutable and that things are going to always stay the way they are. And there are times when we're longing for change and transformation, and just feeling resigned and maybe even hopeless that things will change. And that's when we get to take a deliberate and conscious step into possibility, and to recognize that things can change on a dime. Things can change on a dime. And we're often used to crises happening in the blink of an eye. But what about if we have miracles happen in the blink of an eye? What if we have joy happening in the blink of an eye? What if we have just marvelous, wonderful opportunities happening in the blink of an eye? And expecting miracles, expecting that joy, expecting that surprise and delight of amazing things happening. And I think for me, the experience of Maggie's disappearance really reminded me of miracles, and presenced me to miracles, because I do consider that it's pretty much of a miracle that we were reunited. And I also credit the power of prayer and collective intention. So what if reality is created by a network of observers, let's be collectively living in possibility and sharing these possibilities, the positive possibilities, because we do tend, I think, so many of us anyway, tend to catastrophize, to look at the worst case scenario, to be putting our attention on what's wrong rather than focusing our attention on making on what's right and what's working, and looking at how we can bring about positive change, without focusing our attention. I think that this is a delicate balance, actually, because a number of us are involved in some level of activism. And when we are engaged in a cause, the tendency is to fight rather than to be envisioning something new. We fight the old rather than working to implement the new. And that subtle shift of perspective makes all the difference, because in one case, what are we focusing on? We're focusing on what doesn't work. In another case, what are we focusing on? We're focusing on solutions. and the that shift, it's the razor's edge. It's that subtle and simple and worlds apart, to be fighting against something versus creating solutions for something, creating more positive outcomes. It may look like you still may be at the same march if you go to marches, for instance, and there's a very different energy behind fighting against something versus implementing something new. And if we can have that shift of focus, I believe that we have that pretty much anything is possible. And that's where I'm coming to this term from. I don't know, like I said, I don't know that that's the definition in the dictionary. However, I like the idea, and I'm reserving our right to co-opt the word and the definition and redefine it to what I did read about possibilism is that it incorporates, the definition of it incorporates human engagement, and that we have collectively the ability to bring about new and perhaps previously unimagined possibilities. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here, and for engaging in these conversations, and for carrying the energy of the possible into the world, and for your vision and commitment to make this world a thriving and better place for where humanity is more connected with the planet and nature and each other. And so I think that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And please check out the awesome programming on the Enlightened World channels, Enlightened World Network Facebook page, Enlightened World Living, and EWN One with the Earth. So until next time, so much gratitude. Spend some time entertaining the possible, and pull that through your weekend and see what kind of magic you can make. So much